Wow. I didn't even pull my hair up after I made my coffee. Look, I've had my third session yesterday at the physical therapist. I just want to say what the progress is on this thoracic outlet syndrome type situation I have going on the right. It's apparently started in the jaw. It's actually slightly moved over here, although it's not noticeable to the naked eye. When I moved slightly over, and the dentist proved it, blah blah blah, with his tests, with his physical, actual, tangible tests that you can't deny. So the first day they did, gave a series of the usual exercises with the rubber band, and you put it in the door, and you pull this way, and you pull that way to get the upper back. The mid back, actually. I wanted to isolate the rhomboids and blah, 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 and on. And come to find out that I'm using my neck and all these shoulder upper muscles to breathe and move things that are supposed to be moved by the rhomboids. Most of us are doing this, unfortunately. So what I wanted to say was, later that day, my pain increased so much that if I had not been a seasoned injured person, I would have went to the hospital. but I knew what I was like. Holy shit! So I took Motrin and I iced. I know Motrin, but I took turmeric too, because I'm not a Motrin addict. I don't live on the shit. I take it when a normal person says, "God damn, I need to go to the emergency room." That's when I take Motrin. I probably should take it before that, and then I wouldn't reach that level. But anyway, I know drugs are bad. Drugs are bad, okay? But it worked. I went to bed, got up the next day. I'm like, God dang, that pain is virtually gone. It was still a little stiff, so I tried to do the nerve. Well, now they're calling at the place where I go. They're calling it the nerve glide. I noticed they changed it from nerve flossing to nerve glide because the word floss indicates that you're possibly forcefully jamming that fucker between two bones. Like, no, nerve flossing is gently gliding the nerves back and forth between the soft muscle fibers. I think that word floss gives it a scary... Anyway, so I nerve flossed, which was hard because I realized I had missing... either missing synapses in the brain because I could not make my head and open my arm. I could not do it unless I was looking in the mirror. And then I still couldn't do it. And I'm laughing, going, why is my head turning? I realized what it was on Thursday. Because the nerve glide I did on the second session, which I went up there, after like, okay, Mike, I texted him. I'm like, this is my therapist. I'm like, Mike, man, I'm in so much pain. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, blah, blah. And when I saw this, I said, I think I'm going to try the nerve flossing. I'm going to try this and this and this. And I thought I hit the send button because it was through a text, because they sent me a text and said, if you need any help, just send us a text. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in mortal pain, blah, 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 but I'm going to do this. You think that's all right? And I must have forgot to hit the send button, because when I went in and I looked at it and I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't send it, because by then I was better. I was fine the next day, like the following day. So then come round. So Thursday I go in. So my first episode with the people, and I'm like in mortal pain. I fix it overnight. I go back in on Thursday, and they have me do this move where I'm standing on a strap, and I'm holding it with my hands. So it's essentially pulling my shoulders down. So I'm standing nice and proper, and it's having a little gentle pressure on my shoulders, pulling back and down a little bit. That way to turn my head and look down and hold it for 30 seconds. So I'm trying to do this. Physically, I can do it. It feels great, actually. It feels very tight in the neck. Something in my body didn't want to do it, and I couldn't understand why. It was making me laugh. It was making me bust out laughing. It was coming with all these bizarre emotions, and I'm standing around with it. I'm going, why can't I do this? And they're just thinking, this bitch cray. This bitch is he's all talkative and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, why can't I do it? I couldn't figure it out. I tried really hard. I'm like, all right, I'm done trying to do this. Let's do something else. So we move on, and I leave that day, and I go home. I do my exercises for a few days. I'm icing. I'm using my new roller. I'm having all this good results, really, really, really good results. I go back on yesterday, whatever, day before. They put me back on the strap thing. And I'm bound and determined I'm going to do this exercise where I stand there and hold. Well, I did it. I turned my head and I held and I held. And my body felt like it was being held against a wall, like pinned, like I could not move. That was the sensation. And instead of laughing this time, because I moved through that emotion, I began to become overwhelmingly sad and upset and fearful and afraid. And I began to cry. Tears began to roll. I mean, not loudly. I mean, nobody even noticed. And I'm like, I'm just going to hold this because I realized we were having a psychological breakthrough, that there was emotion trapped in this area. And so I held it, and then I moved on to the other side, and I did it, and I went, and these tears were coming down. And I'm like, when I got done, I'm like, I got the girl the straw. I said, here. I'm like, it's great. She's like, how's it feel? I said, it's great. It didn't hurt. I said, there's nothing to do with it. The tears are not. I said, there was some kind of emotion trapped. I said, do you recall the other day when I was here and I could not do it without laughing? I said I was blocking an emotion. I can't believe this is happening. This is fucking amazing. High five me, girl. And we did. Then I went to do the nerve glide, the nerve floss again in the mirror. And I'm like, I could do it better, but my head kept wanting to turn. Every time I went to do this, it wanted to whip. And I realized what it was because I did it directly after the lock motion. I realized that my subconscious did not feel like I was literally safe standing in that building, in that room. And that my subconscious was wanting to look for a predator instead of simply cocking my head, which left my neck exposed to this invisible predator that I kept trying to turn. Is this not fucking fascinating? Probably to most people are like, God damn, Karen, you're breaking this shit down so far. We know you're nuts now. I would have thought the same thing, except I experienced it fully. And as I continued to practice last Thursday, the nerve glide, the nerve floss, and I did both sides, and I finally was able to get my head to do it and my arm in sync. I said to the other guy, Gary, I'm like, dude, we are building brain synapses right here, right now. These were gone. We're building these puppies. I said, my son did this in physical therapy. I know what's happening, and I can't believe how fast it can be done. And we were real excited. So that was last Thursday. So I come back, and it was, the following Tuesday that I realized why. See, I go to put my head like this, and it wants to turn. I know in my heart of hearts and that this is trauma responsive checking. I need to know and believe my senses. I need to get where I can rotate my head fully because the vagus nerve cannot be stimulated properly if you cannot fully turn your head. I believe that this is what Neil Halleman is talking about when he says we have a faulty compensatory system. We got to find other ways to put input into these sides of our body, the left that we are having difficulty getting enough input into the brain from, to bring about a more stabilized posture and mental state. Peace! It's all about breathing and walking, says Neil, who is super... I'm sorry, Neil, but you're super annoying. He reminds me so much of my son's father that I'm just like, oh my God, Rob, get to the point. But my God, he's so smart. Neil and Rob, but Rob don't want to hear about it. Rob wanted to suck us into a cult. If Rob could be expanded upon and opened up, I do believe that he's got two forms. I mean, he's got extra scoliosis in his back. His neck is completely, he can barely move. This man's brain is not receiving the information that it wants from his heels, his fingertips, his eyes, his neck moving, his everything. And in my opinion, there's no hope for that to change because he will never see a postural correction person because he's smarter than the rest of us. So I just don't understand. I'm just a stupid hairdresser. And on that note, peace out, YouTube. Is it day 19? It might be day 20. I gotta check the calendar. I think it's 19. It might even be 18. It's 20. I don't know. Anyway, we're close. We're getting close to the 3-week mark, folks. I think that'll be Monday. Sunday. Catch me then.